Welcome back to the Glow Up Girl podcast. I am Kyra Mitchell-Bliss, and today I am joined by Jen Coken, author and life coach, and she is pretty damn funny, if I may say so myself. So welcome to the Glow Up Girl podcast, Jen.
I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me, Kyra.
Awesome. Well, today we have a really great topic to talk about. We're talking bye-bye limitations, and we are learning how to effectively overcome imposter syndrome. So before we dive into that matter, Jen, can you just please tell the audience a little bit more about yourself?
Sure, absolutely. Where do I begin? No, I'm kidding. So I'm an executive coach. I've been a coach for 23 years, predominantly coaching entrepreneurs, women in the C-suite, women who are in charge of, it could be a side hustle. It could also be they're at that C-suite level. And I coach women at that level because so often when you rise to the top, I mean, right now out of all the Fortune 500 companies, 33 are led by women. And, let's talk about the percentage that are led by Black and brown women. So once you get up to that level, you look around, you don't see anybody like you. It's very easy to begin to adapt yourself to your environment and try to fit in. And my job as a coach with women is to give them the audacity to be themselves and to lead without limits, both for them and their teams, and really just be authentic when they show up to work. Because how exhausting is it when we are trying to fit in versus just being ourselves and understanding we are enough. And that's why we've risen to the top, is because of our magic, our majesty, our creativity. And therefore we should be bringing that special sauce to our leadership. And then, as you said, I'm also an author, I'm a speaker, and I did stand-up comedy for a long time. So one of my values in my company and my business and who I am as a human is just, we've got to be playful. We have got to smile and bring humor, because think about it right now, life is ridiculous. And that's why I call my company Embrace the Ridiculousness of Life, because right now things are ridiculous, whether you're talking about politics, COVID, et cetera. And we've got to be able to find the humor in it so that we can center ourselves,
Yes. Yeah. I could not agree more. Through your executive coaching, and obviously when you and I spoke, one of the areas in which you help women is in dealing with imposter syndrome.
Yes.
So a lot of people may not be aware of what that is. So can you start by just talking through what imposter syndrome is?
Yeah. So it's also a misnomer to call it a syndrome, because a syndrome, but there's no other better way to say it, but a syndrome dictates or connotes that it's a psychological diagnosis, and it's not. So imposter syndrome was first, quote unquote, discovered or named, I'll say named, by two researchers back in the 70s who saw people who were very high achieving, very successful, who doubted and questioned themselves. And they named that imposter syndrome. And then back then they thought that women had it more than men because men have much more testosterone, which was also known as the confidence hormone back then. Dr. Valerie Young began to study this research of the original two researchers and authors, and she began to see in her work as a psychologist and her study that there was a better way to characterize imposter syndrome, because like you said, most people, I don't sit around and go, wow, I'm doubting and questioning myself. I don't think about that. But do I have insanely high bars for myself? And if I don't miss it, ruminate on it for days. Oh yeah. Do I try to get something perfect before I send it out the door? I used to be that way. Oh yeah. Key one for me is I was always very smart as a kid. And so things came easy to me. I caught on to things quickly. And that's also a characteristic of imposter syndrome, because people like me, when things come quickly, if things seem hard or you have to work at it, we're like, oh, I can't do that. I'm not good at that. And so we will not go after things. There's also those, and this is what Dr. Valerie Young did, is she had different characteristics of imposter syndrome. So there's the perfectionist, there's the natural born genius. There's people who hate delegating, don't like asking it for help. They've got to do everything themselves. People who those are just a few of the 5 that she named. So there's a lot of different ways that people can identify with imposter syndrome.
Mm-hmm. So why do you think women experience it, and how does it hold them back? How does it hold us back from reaching our full potential?
Oh my gosh. Well, I became an expert in this area because I noticed myself holding myself back.
Mm-hmm.
So I went into business for myself 5 years ago as a coach. I was coaching for a big company before then. And I began to get interested in, okay, why are these doubts and questions, things I thought I had put to bed years ago. So, I mean, it was almost like on a billboard, just every day I would wake up like questioning myself, comparing myself to others, the whole bit. I don't think women experience it more than men. I think we talk about it more because we're just more naturally prone to talk about the things that are bugging us. I think it holds us back from going after what we want, because if a job is open and you look at it as a man, you only need to check one box and you'll apply for it. As a female, we tend to say, wait a minute, I don't have everything on there. I'm not qualified. Or we will really compare ourselves to other women that we see that are doing really well and compare ourselves. And quite honestly, there just is not as many women leaders who are out there leading as we see white men predominantly. If you look at speakers for conferences, it's predominantly white men that are speaking. It's getting better. I think there's so much more that we could do. So when I began to think through my own imposter syndrome and I was able to work through it, and I don't want to give away the goods because I'm sure we'll get into it in the podcast. So I don't want to give it away how we do that altogether right now. But I began to see and see that so many more women were dealing with it. And I want women to be empowered. My passion is to have women empowered and, just as I said before, having the audacity to be themselves and just be their authentic selves. So that's why I focus in on working with women leaders.
Mm-hmm. And I saw this stat after you and I spoke, and I started to sort of research more for our discussion. And I'm going to pull my glasses out for a minute.
Yeah.
So I saw that KPMG surveyed 750 executive women from major companies, including some top brands. It said who are 1 or 2 career steps away from the C-suite, and asked them about their experiences, or if any, with imposter syndrome, and how they successfully had overcome it. So 75% of those executive women identified as having experienced imposter syndrome at various points during their career, and 85% believe it's common, for women to experience across corporate America. I mean, as someone that works in corporate America, I mean, why do you feel? I mean, I think you have some ideas, but obviously you've studied and you work with women every day in executives. Why do you feel this just continues to be so prominent when we think that we're doing better? Why is it still such a thing for women?
Yeah, I think it is still a thing for a couple of reasons. One is, and by the way, I have an office mate named Kevin, who's a 4-legged critter who is digging into some things. So if you begin to hear him, he's my cat, and he's very fat, and he sees this small box that he's trying to fit himself into. So if you hear it, let me know and I'll yell at him.
You gotta love those 4-legged. You gotta love
Yes.
the 4-legged creature showing up.
He's adorable. So what I believe is everybody experiences it at some point in their lives. So let's think about this. Imposter syndrome, each one of us has an originating incident where it all began. Our brain is designed to keep the thing it's a brain of alive. That's you, that's me. Your brain's designed to keep you alive. My brain's designed to keep me alive. And forever, for as long as humans have been walking the earth, we've had the ability to be able to discern whether something's going to eat us or are we going to eat it. That's the amygdala response. That's that fight, flight, or freeze. And why you and I are talking right now, and cave woman, isn't here, is because she got eaten. Her brain failed her, right? Mm-hmm. So the brain also can't distinguish between a real threat and a perceived threat. So if you and I were when we used to have movies, when you and I were if you and I were at the IMAX theater and we were watching a movie about the Grand Canyon, and maybe there was somebody hang gliding and going into the Grand Canyon, our stomachs would drop. You ever seen those movies with roller coaster? Your stomach drops because your brain thinks you're on the roller coaster. So it is sending signals to your body to tense up, to be prepared. When we are going for a job, when we are going out on a limb, when we are speaking up at a meeting, when we are just about to go to that C-suite, when we're in a new management position, we are threatened in some way, shape, or form. Not in reality, there's no tiger coming at us, but our brain's perception is, be careful. And so you either freeze and then your brain's telling you to go in for it, which is why sometimes, as often females have, we're in a meeting, there's a question asked, we answer it, offer an idea, nobody says anything, then a male will raise his hand, offer that idea, and everyone's like, oh, great idea, Pat, way to go over there. Oh, look at that, he's so smart. And you're sitting over here like, wait a minute.
Yeah,
I'm Patricia, and I just had that idea. We're talking to the wrong Pat. Come back around to me.
Okay, at least when it's done by maybe like a woman, it's piggybacking onto your comment. She is piggybacking. A man will take the exact same thing that you said and say it the exact same way.
Yes, and won't acknowledge that, won't amplify our voices, which is what we need, is for those men in the room to amplify our voices and to say, wait a minute, Kyra just mentioned this. Yes. And I think right. And therefore, let me just underscore, because I had that same thought too. And I think it's really good. And this is why. Right. So we go back to childhood. So when I was 7 years old, I had a crush on a boy named Keith Burpee. Hopefully he's not listening. And my best friend, Michelle Coken Master, and I both liked him. And we decided the way we were going to figure out who Keith liked is we were going to chase him around the playground in the snow. Because I lived in Michigan, in Kalamazoo, there's a lot of snow, and decide who he wanted to kiss by pushing him down. So we chased after Keith and he let himself be caught, right, in air quotes. And then he looked at Michelle and he kissed her and he looked at me and went, ew. Now, yeah, exactly. So, horrified, my little 6 or 7 year old mind. Michelle was this petite blonde hair, blue eyed, looked like a girl next door, right? And was always tall for my age. I'm Jewish, dark hair, dark eyes. I was always called a big girl because I was always a foot taller than the other kids. I just grew like a weed. I'm 5'10" now. And in that moment, I thought, I'm never going to be like her, petite, blonde hair and blue eyed. Okay, I'll just be the funny sidekick. And so forever, my career, as I was coaching, I was in politics too. My career was always about amplifying someone else's message, pushing someone else to the front, getting someone else elected. When I went into business for myself, that same thing, unbeknown to me, that same moment of an upset 7-year-old is now running a grown woman's life and freaking out at everybody around her in my mind, because I'm never going to be like that. I'm never going to be as good as that. Trying to gather as much information as I can as I'm launching my company, so I have enough information to know. And in all of that, my own knowing gets lost. My own ability to tap into my own intuition and my heart gets lost. My ability to take that advice from spirit, call it God, the universe, your dog, I don't care, gets lost because I'm not quiet. I'm not calm. I don't have clarity. I don't have presence in that moment. So I think the original question was, how does it hold women back or whatever, but it holds us back in so many ways. It can also hold us back in relationships, not just work, but all kind of ways in how we are.
Yeah, I agree. So before we start to, give people some tips on how they can overcome, let's talk about the free tool that you offer that helps people to, understand where they fit into the 5 different types.
Yeah. And that's a fun tool. So it's Jen Coken Quiz. So it's JenCoken quiz.com. And it takes about, 2 minutes, 3 minutes to take the quiz. And then you'll get results that show. Now, the thing of it is, I'm using that quiz based on Dr. Valerie Young's research for the different kinds of characteristics so that you can discover yourself for yourself, the different types of imposter syndrome you have. There isn't one type. You could be somebody who, when someone says, "Hey, great job," you're like, no, it wasn't, no, you don't want to accept that praise. You could also be somebody who's a big perfectionist. So you'll notice you have higher scores and lower scores in the same category. And then I always offer a free 30-minute follow-up call just to go over it with you, be able to help you identify some things that trigger you, and at least come up with one tool for you to use in the moment. So once you take the quiz, take advantage of that 30-minute call, because it's going to make the difference for you.
Awesome. So now, just to give a few tips to people, let's talk about some things that can be done to overcome imposter syndrome.
Yeah. And I want to be careful that it's not one and done. It's not overcome one and done. This is a mastery of something. You are a masterpiece. I am a masterpiece. We are in the making all the time. And so we want to master our piece. What do I mean by a piece? Well, this game called life, you've got your piece over there in your chair. I've got my piece over here in my chair. And we're mastering our piece, because our peace of mind, as well as our everything, because we are a masterpiece. So it's a mastery. It's over the long haul. And I call this the art and mastery of presence. So the first thing is to start noticing when imposter syndrome gets triggered. Now, you may not call it that, but take the quiz so you can begin to get some hints. Oh, when I felt that way. Also notice just when you get uptight, when you notice tightness in your shoulders, maybe, or when you notice you have pressure around your throat and your voice area because you don't feel like you can speak up. Maybe it's a headache you get. Could be you're clenching some aspect of your body. So the clues aren't just mental. They also could be physical as well, because we're always embodying how we're showing up and our presence. So the first clue is begin to identify how you're feeling, get tuned into your emotions, to your thoughts, to your mood, to your be. And then secondly, start to notice what triggers it. What's key behind all this to really be the most powerful you can be is to get back to that originating incident. And I have a webinar on my site that you can get that it will take you through a 10-minute embodied meditation that will begin to unlock something. And that will be helpful as well, because then you can begin to notice what triggers it, et cetera. But you really need a coach to take you back there. And I'll tell you, when I do that meditation with people in person, they remember things and they remember things that they hadn't thought about in years. And from that one thing, we're able to identify that one brain pattern that they now can see has played out. I had a client who just didn't know why everybody else didn't do things the way she did, until we realized when she was 9, she got a C on a test. And her dad was like, "What's up with the C?" And Catherine said, "Well, it's average. What's wrong?" And he said, "Give me 1,500 words on average." She was so embarrassed. She never wanted to feel that way again. So she became a perfectionist. She never got another C. Straight A's really propelled her through the ranks in her company, got to the C-suite, but it was really not a great experience working for her because she had these high standards that she wasn't aware of, that she was projecting on other people. And so in our work together, she really began to come from curiosity and compassion and empathy for others, which completely altered her relationships at work.
Wow, that is so interesting how the things from our past have really shaped who we are today, and good, bad, or indifferent things that have happened. But it really just plays a huge part in how we are with not only just with others, but ourselves. Like Absolutely. It is the thing that we either don't show compassion to ourselves because we weren't shown compassion when we were younger, or like you said, even something just as to her getting a C and saying that to her, it was like, oh yeah, I didn't fail. It was an average grade. And of course she probably could have made an A or a B the next time, but then her dad like almost being like, no, give me X number of words on the word average. And my God, that just shaped her to be completely different. Wow.
Yeah, like in a moment's notice, this very innocuous moment, you're right. Because it creates a brain pattern. It creates a neural pathway because your brain's trying to protect you. It perceives a threat, but then it keeps protecting you. It's sort of like back in the day when we had records, although we have them now, when the needle would get stuck in that groove. So, right. So the work that I do with my clients is identify and disrupt, like break apart that neural pathway, look to see what triggers it, and identify how you want to show up. And it starts with being present. So how do you be present? You are able to distinguish over time and with mastery when you're having a negative thought, when you're experiencing a negative emotion. Then you're not reacting. You're simply a human with reaction, because we have 50 to 60,000 thoughts a day. 80 to 85% are negative and repetitive. Well, that's fun.
And those speak louder than the positive ones.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, you got it. And something else you said too, when you said about being able to show compassion, that is so true. When in our life, in our relationships, when people don't relate to us the way we would have wanted them to, either showing us compassion or showing us forgiveness, one of the areas that I'm out to master is to have patience and forgiveness in those moments that people aren't showing up the way that I want them to. It has nothing to do with me and everything to do with how much of their own light they were shown as a child, how much compassion they were shown and love that was given to them as a child. It really has nothing to do with me. And it's a simple explanation. It's not easy. And that again is another aspect of mastering the piece that you are for your masterpiece.
Yeah. I agree, because I think it is so easy to just sort of absorb that energy from someone else. And then it just completely changes the day. And, and I always tell people, I'm like, I am only responsible for how I react and how I respond. So, I mean, if you come at me and from a place that is not what I'm accepting, but it takes a while. And like you said, you're always trying to master it. Like, it's not a one and done, like because there'll be another day where you will be tested with the same, you'll get that same test, but with a different person. And you have to decide, like, every time for me now, whereas I would get upset, like, because my first response was never to like attack back. It was to sort of internalize. I wonder why they said, that, or why did they act that way towards me? I'm always trying to be, I think I'm being helpful. I'm easy to work with. But then now in doing the self-work on myself, I don't take those things personal. Like, I'm able to go, I don't know who did something in your coffee this morning, but you know what? We're not doing this. I'm not accepting that negativity over here in this lane. So
yeah, I do not accept that circus.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Guess what? Invite sent, but guess who declined?
Yeah. I love that.
So, I guess, and you obviously, you think about that just in everyday life and imagine what a woman who is in a male dominated organization and she's an executive, like how that must feel for her every day, because she's probably getting the little snide remarks and the little, passovers of she's given the great idea and already solving the problem, but 5 men have to talk about it and come up with the same thing that she already laid out for it to be true.
Yeah. Yeah. I was once speaking to the Society of Women Engineers, and I was talking to their event planner and just asking a little bit about the same thing, about being limitless and that kind of thing. Just asking what some of the women were up against. And one of the things she told me that will stick in my mind forever is that often if the women dress up when they go to work, they're immediately asked if they have a date or a job interview.
Oh my God.
They can't just embrace their femininity and want to look pretty for themselves, because you and I know we do that for us. It's great if you would like to admire us, but at the end of the day, when we wake up in the morning and put on makeup or put on a cute outfit, it's because we feel good, because we feel cute, because we feel beautiful, because we are. And it has nothing to do with them. But that just, that stuck in my craw.
Yeah.
Really? We're in 2020. That was 2018 at the time, but still.
And that's still, you know what? And it's so, you're right, because I still happens, and I think it definitely happens in places that where it's a more male dominated industry. Because I do work somewhere where when we were in the office, people, it was a casual work environment, but for me personally, I just prefer to wear dresses a lot. Like I wear a dress every day. I'm not going to come in with my hair looking crazy, or I'm not going to be made up, because that's just, I mean, for me and the way Kyra feels good is to show up like this.
Right.
And that would be the thing. I don't know, what, why do you wear dresses every day? Why are you dressed up all the time? I mean, you got something else happening? I'm like, oh no, I just thought that this was a workplace and that I should show up looking good.
Right. But you know what? So number one, dresses are easy. People don't realize that when you
Right,
dress,
yeah.
you can just pull it out of the closet, put it on with some cute tights and boots in the winter, some sandals in the summer. So I'm with you. I have a lot of dresses in my closet. I don't think men are doing that with an intent to harm. I just think they're not aware.
Yeah.
And some men don't do that because they are aware. But I think the male dominated workplaces, and especially the C-suite. And here's another fun fact for you. Okay. So if 33 women head up Fortune 500 companies, how many men named John head up Fortune 500 companies? 23. For a while there was more men named John than there were women heading up Fortune 500 companies.
Wow.
Fun fact.
Yeah, that's a fact. All right.
It's a fact. I don't know how fun it is, Jen, but it's a fact.
Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I think, yeah, it's just very interesting. And I think even just thinking through like just what you help women to overcome is obviously there are a lot of limiting things we have to already, fight and battle. But then when we are sort of self-sabotaging ourselves by allowing, just like you said, those preconceived threats, or just, our mind, just the negative thoughts in our own mind that are already telling us, well, no, they're not gonna, or da 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 da. It just sort of limits you to when you get to a place to where you have to hear one of those comments, you're already defeated.
Yeah. When we are in alignment with who we really are, when we're in congruence, right? When we are, I always talk about this line of presence. So if you imagine a circle and there's a line through the middle and the bottom part is all the reaction, that's most of our thinking. Yeah. How do we get present? We start noticing our thoughts, those self-sabotaging thoughts. We start noticing when we're having a self-sabotaging thought, where do we feel that in our body? Do we feel in our back, especially I was very much like you, where I would internalize things people said and wonder what I did wrong. And I'd always feel this pain in my shoulder, between my shoulder blades, like I was being stabbed in the back, but I was stabbing myself in the back because I was internalizing that, right? So where are we feeling it in our body? The moment we notice that, then we're present, but being present isn't enough. You can go on a mountain and be present. You want presence of mind to think clearly, presence of your body to embody the kind of leader you want to show up as, be grounded in your power, speak your truth from your soul, your heart, and allow spirit to move through you. Then everything's up for creation. I can hear what you're saying, but if I am solid with who I am and in congruence with who I am and happy with who I am, then I can hear. And as you said, I'm not taking the check. That's your check. You're going to pay for that check. Right now, I'm going to be compassionate. I'm going to be playful and say to you, that's not my circus. Don't give me that circus. Those are not my monkeys. You need to take those back and don't be a clown. I'm pulling on some of your stuff that you said earlier about clowns.
Yeah. Guess what? I'm not getting in that clown car.
No. How many people in that clown car already?
Exactly. I love that. So can you tell the audience about some of your coaching opportunities that you have available?
Yeah, absolutely. So I offer a 3-session coaching package for anybody that does the quiz. You do the 30-minute call with me. That call is free. I will absolutely give people at least one tool to deal with imposter syndrome. And then I always give $500 off my 3-session coaching package when you do book that 30-minute call with me. And then I'm going to be launching a group program, which is not yet on my website, in February. And I also do right now VIP one-on-one coaching with people, and that's no less than 6 months, because we are going to work together to identify and disrupt those brain patterns, and then identify some practices for you to experiment with that are designed to give you power and deal with situations that previously you have found yourself speechless or upset about. My entire coaching system with people is really designed to give you power so you can show up to be the leader you know you are, you intend to be, and be yourself.
Awesome. Awesome. Love that. So, how can the audience find you again online?
Yeah, it's super easy. It's jencoken.com, JENCOKEN.com. You can also email me, jen@jencoken.com. And the quiz is jencokenquiz.com.
Awesome. That is easy.
It is. I tried.
You won, girl. So before you go, can you tell us anything you're working on now that you're really excited for that you want to share?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you a little bit about the group program. So
Okay.
I beta tested a group program, and and it went really, really well. It's a 6-week program designed to give you all the foundational aspects to really tune into what success means to you. So often we're trying to be what other people want us to be. We're trying to be who we think we should be. We're trying to be how we used to be. The 6 weeks it's going to be a boot camp. It's called the Trailblazer Boot Camp. It is designed for people at a crossroads, people who are at a creative impasse, want to figure out what's next. 6 weeks together, an 80-page workbook. And by the end of that, you're ready to take off like a rocket ship, and you have a 6-month plan to put into action. And It's going to be fabulous. It'll start February 6th, I think, is the next class. So just email me if you're interested. We don't even have it up on the website yet because we're just finishing up the beta testing and designing everything. But it was really fun, especially to see some of the results that people got, like massive results people got. Starting new businesses in 6 weeks,
Wow.
identifying new mentoring opportunities, getting asked to be on the board of a nonprofit organization that was their dream in 6 weeks. I mean, just crazy results people are getting.
That sounds exciting. Love that. Well, that definitely that's amazing. And Jen, I thank you for taking the time out of your schedule and joining me today. This was a great conversation and such helpful information. So audience, if you want to learn more, please go take the quiz, and please contact Jen because she's awesome, and learn more and get out of your own way. Stop limiting yourself, get out of your way, grab someone to help you and get to your own success. So thank you again. I appreciate you for being here.
Oh my gosh, it was so fun to talk with you. I love your energy. I love this podcast and just really enjoyed it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Well, stay tuned, everybody. I'll be right back.